Thank you so much for joining me on the telecast and for your input. But shifting our focus, according to data tabled in the Lok Sabha, around half the aircraft examined for technical deficiencies across Indian carriers have shown recurring defects, with the Air India Group and Indigo accounting for the largest share. The government said 754 aircraft from 6 scheduled airlines were analyzed for repetitive snags since January last year, and 377 of them were flagged for recurring defects. Indigo had the highest number of aircraft reviewed, with 405 planes analyzed as of February 3, of which 148 were identified with repetitive defects. The Air India Group recorded a higher ratio, with 191 of 267 aircraft flagged, nearly 72% of the fleet audited. This included 137 of 166 Air India aircraft and 54 of 101 Air India Express planes. Other carriers were also reviewed. Of 43 SpiceJet aircraft analyzed, 16 were flagged for recurring defects, while Akasa Air had 14 aircraft identified out of 32 which were reviewed. Now let's take a look at the key findings of the report. So I'll be going over to the big wall over there to break down what exactly the findings of this report is, which has reported that several aircraft, at least half of them, have reported some technical snags or deficiencies. So first of all, when we talk about this report in terms of Indian Airlines report, the key finding number 1 is out of 754 aircraft analyzed from 6 scheduled airlines, 377 were flagged for repetitive snags as well as technical deficiencies. So that's half of the airlines when we talk about, which includes Indigo and Air India, which encompasses the largest of the flights that the airline that has reported this issue. Nearly 72% in the Air India Group, which includes Air India plus Air India Express, were identified with recurring defects. So those are the most dominant players, especially when we talk about Air India Group, which includes Air India as well as the Air India Express as well as Indigo. 137 out of 166 aircraft analyzed were flagged for repetitive defects, which is a high ratio within the group. So when we talk about the Air India Group and other airlines as well, so this is something that has been repetitive defects have been flagged, especially when we talk about the Air India Group, especially when we have seen that these incidents have been happening for quite some time. Now, when you talk about Air India Express, 54 out of 101 aircraft analyzed showed recurring defects as well. So that includes the Air India Express, in which half of the aircraft have shown that there have been recurring defects, technical snags that have been reported. When you talk about Indigo, another dominant player in the market, 148 out of 405 aircraft analyzed were identified with repetitive defects. So we have seen several airlines that were grounded as well because of these snags, and they have been showing that lately those flights have been reported in terms of repetitive snags as well. Other airlines include SpiceJet, had 16 aircraft flagged, and in terms of Akasa Air, 14, and Alliance Air with 8 that have been flagged. So other flights have also reported this, but obviously the dominant players like Air India as well as Indigo have shown that they account for the major share of the market that are reporting repetitive snags. Air India Group and Indigo accounted for the largest share of recurring defects in both absolute numbers and proportion. So I was talking about it, especially these are the dominant players in the market. They have the major sharehold in terms of the airline industry. So in terms of that, especially Air India has shown that they have repetitive snags and technical deficiencies that is being reported in terms of the key findings in this report. Information was tabled in Parliament by Minister of State for Civil Aviation Muralidhar Mohal in response to questions based on DGCA surveillance and audit, especially since couple of months we have seen that there has been a spotlight on the airline industry. This report highlights the fact that several of these airlines are reporting that they have technical snags or repetitive technical issues that are being seen, the defects that are being seen. The repetitive defects tracked from January last year, which is 2025, up to February 3, 2026. So this key findings have been tracked from this period, January last year till February 3, 2026. So again, we have seen that the airline industry, there has been repetition of sorts in terms of defects that are being seen, the technical snags, especially with Air India Group. And the findings highlight ongoing safety surveillance by DGCA with no specific recurring defect type detailed in reports amid broader mentions of intensified inspections and DGCA staffing challenges. So that's another key finding that has been reported in terms of this report. Again, half of the airline industry has, in terms of this report, has shown that they have reported recurring defects, repetitive defects and technical deficiencies, and this includes the Air India Group, which has the Air India as well as Air India Express, and it also includes Indigo as well. It includes SpiceJet, it includes Akasa Air as well in terms of this. So when we talk about this, obviously this comes during the time that there has been a huge spotlight in terms of the airline industry, which has reported several flights that have been grounded, and the passengers are the ones who are facing challenges and inconvenience due to these issues as well. Now, joining me on the telecast is Vandana Singh, aviation expert. Vandana, in terms of the report that we have seen, what do you make of this, especially when we talk about the fact that 50% of these airlines are reporting recurring issues? Why is that the case, and what are the airlines exactly doing to sort this out?
Thank you, Ria. Morning, for having me on your show. As you rightfully said, you're looking at Air India with 72% having recurring defects, as well as Indigo having 36% defects, and of course, these are the two dominant players. Now, the point is, spare the rod and spoil the child. So, aviation industry, as we know, is a very serious industry, and it has to be, the regulator has to be extremely strict. So, rightfully looking at it, when you're seeing a situation like this, and we are talking only of inspections that have happened since January last year, we are looking at more than 50% of overall fleet having defects, whether they are categorized from A to D, saying D is least, they're saying that most is falling in D, whether it's seat defects or it's belts not functioning or it's minor equipment issues. But the main thing is that there are recurring defects, and this doesn't talk of a disciplined behavior at all. We also know that daily we are hearing of something or the other. Yesterday there were fuel switches situation at London airport for flights coming into Bengaluru. And now the British CAA, which is equivalent to our DGCA, has questioned as to how was that flight even allowed to take off. Why was the inspection not carried off? Why was it not grounded? So everything is joining the dots. Daily there are incidents. India is coming under spotlight as far as aviation sector is concerned. And now coming to your question as to what should the DGCA be doing, I think for now, whatever inspections they have conducted, let's say 3890 surveillance inspections and audits, approximately 50 to 60 audits, that's not enough. Spot checks have to increase, technical posts have to increase to strengthen regulatory capacity, and issuing show cause notice.
All right, sorry to interrupt you, Vandana, unfortunately, due to the paucity of the time. Thank you so much for joining me on the telecast. Thank you so much for your input as well on that story. But we are more